Hello, good evening. Live by design, not by default. Welcome to Inspirational Moments with me, Billy, once again. And thank you for joining me this evening. Now, today we will be discussing this evening Liar Liar Part 2. And next week we will do a Part 3 on this, emphasizing more on the use of language to deceive and to influence or manipulate or convince. Live by design, not by default. Welcome to Okay, so yeah, you're hearing double because there's a lag. All right, so good evening, everyone, again. And let's see, Connie, good to see you here. Lynn, nice to see you again in the comfort of the dining table. Okay. Hello, Mindy. Hi, Leonard. Joyce, thanks for joining us. Joseph, Veronica, Sharon's, Mary, and yes, there is going to be a part 3. So because we have a lag of about 20 to 30 seconds, I would like to start off with these questions, and as you type your responses to me, I can then proceed on to cover more points and more ideas and notes tonight. All right, so first of all, what did you observe about liars since we last talked, since we last had this session? All right, what have you been observing during the past week about people and about liars? And also, what questions do you have for tonight's discussion? Right, during the last session, I remember Joseph Ng mentioned about the lie detector. Now, the use of the lie detector and how accurate it is largely depends on the user, the interviewer, and the machines that they hooked up. For instance, some does not just measure breathing, pulse rate, but that actually have cameras that zoom in to look into the eyes in detail to identify things like visibility of the inner canthus as well as the pupil, and if the pupil is dilating. Right, so these and more details are what we will be covering this evening. Mindy, thank you for asking. No, I have not had my dinner. Okay, because we are doing this every Tuesday at 8 p.m., so I delay my dinner every Tuesday for this session. When we started, we ran it at 5:30. That was a better timing for me because then I can join the family for dinner. But some people were like coming back from work during that time and couldn't join us and requested that we do it later, and hence we have been doing it at 8. Yep. All right, so a quick recap. During the last session, I mentioned 5 principles or 5 points to pay attention to. And so let me just quickly do a recap. Number 1, remember to evaluate the context. Evaluate what is around. Evaluate the situation. Evaluate the circumstances that the person is in. And not just depending on the one sign or one signal. And then, we start jumping into conclusion. And number 2 is to always give individualized considerations, because people differ from people. All right, so there are people with certain, as I mentioned last week, certain neurological disorders that may make them fidget more, that may make them break eye contact if they have anxiety disorder and so forth. So have and give individualized consideration from person to person. In other words, it's always about monitoring what is unusual and what stands out, all right, and not just pinning on one sign and then we jump into conclusion, right? Okay, the third thing to recap is last week we talked about the eyes and watching the eyes, the eye blocking and so forth. These are signs of deception. And then the shoulder movements or any unusual fidgeting, right? Okay, point number 4 for recap. Remember to use multiple signs and signals. Never just use one and then again we jump into conclusion. And number 5, always give the benefits of doubt. All right, so let's see how and what you are responding so far. Let me see. May, welcome to join us this evening. Let me see. Liars don't look at our eyes when talking to us. Yep. So last week I talked about this quite a little bit, and that is that they will make movements to cover their eyes, or that blinking rate may increase, or that there will be prolonged closure when they're talking and the eyes are closing for a longer period. That is to disguise breaking eye contact. All right. So when people lie, they will avoid eye contact quite naturally and instinctively. However, if you see someone who gave you a very deliberate, intense eye contact, very prolonged eye contact, very deliberate eye contact, that could also mean that the person is lying. The difference here is this person is probably already coached, have been coached, or have already self-coached themselves prior to telling the lies, and so that's why they can make eye contact when they're lying to you. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Cindy, joining us from Sydney. Yep, it's 10:15 in Sydney. All right. I hope everything is going on well down in Australia. Okay, let me see. Lynn has some observation. Observe that they will manipulate the truth into a lie to escape from being seen as wrong. People do this on a daily basis. I realize. I think last week I mentioned that on a daily basis, where people lie up to 200 times. Okay, some additional pointers this evening, in addition to the 5 that we have mentioned earlier on. So now is number 6. Remember that lies only work when we allowed it. Meaning, there's a liar, there must be a listener, right? The person who's being lied to. So it's always a two-party kind of situation. And that we'll always catch people lying when we want to. Because even if you have not been through an extensive training on this, we have the unconscious mind that is constantly absorbing information all the time, and the unconscious mind will in turn give us a gut feeling as to whether the person is telling you the truth or not. So the point here is whether you choose to listen to your gut feel, to your unconscious mind, having accumulated all the signs and signals and cues, or do you choose to ignore it? Personally, I have chosen to ignore at times when I detected that people are lying, when they promise to, give their best and work with us and so forth, only for them to conveniently forget their promises later on and then break their promises and then move on to do things that is just beneficial for themselves. So I allowed it. Okay, number 7, we also mentioned about context, right? Content is also important. In other words, beyond the situation, what the person is saying, the exact words, the exact sentences, how the vocal sounds like, and how the body language and facial expressions are like, micro expressions are like. All this add on to the content. All right. So this is another thing we can also look out for, and that is content. Number 8, always do fact checking. Now, especially for people who are public figures, or if we live stream a video, there you go, it's a live stream, right? So whatever I said can be taken note of, can be stored, can be saved as proof, and then can be used for checking the data that I'm sharing or the message that I'm sharing. Yep. Okay, so that is my number 8 point for you. Number 9, the word nonsense, right? So, people talk nonsense. Okay, simply put, nonsense. All right, there's no sense, incoherent messages that are confusing and they're unclear. For example, messages that things that have been said but not being acted upon and carried out. Mexico will pay for the war. Remember this? Okay, and finally, number 10, incongruent 3 V's. And the 3 V's are the verbal, the words, sentences, vocal, how the tone sounds like, and visual, which refers to facial expressions, body language. And so this evening, we'll go a little bit into the details. Okay, let me take a moment to see what are some of your responses. Mindy, what about compulsive liars? They would not likely show any physical signs when they lie, won't they? Now, the point is there's only so much you can control consciously, meaning most other gestures, little micro expressions and all, they're all very unconscious. So you cannot possibly consciously control everything. Now, as I go through some of the details this evening, you will realize that a lot of times the words and the tone are not incongruent, All right, so what the person say versus how the person sound when they say what they say is just not aligned. All right, it's conflicting. Either that or micro expressions, facial expressions, and body language are conflicting. So even for compulsive liars, at best I say they become very skillful at lying, and then all it takes is for us to be even better in our observing. Yeah. All right. So, yep, met people who can make intense eye contact when lying. Stan, thanks for joining us. Good to see you today. Stan from Malaysia. Stan, thanks for joining us this evening. Cindy, let me see. Yeah, maybe they come up with a long explanation. Very good point. In fact, one of the things that I will touch on this evening. Let me see. Oh, you can smell liars from a mile away. Okay. Uh, so there you go. You may have people who are very skillful at lying. Yet again, we can also have people who are very skillful in observing. Yeah, right. Can smell them. Mindy says intense eye contact. Have you seen the clip Kit and Billy use, the one from Lie to Me series? Yep, Lie to Me series season 1. I recommend that. Very good TV production. A lot of things to learn, especially with regard to reading micro expressions. Yeah. Personally, I like Criminal Minds. Mentalist to some extent, because some things I don't quite agree with. He likes to use hypnosis a lot, and he pretty much kind of discounted NLP's capabilities, whereas in Criminal Minds, Dr. Spencer Reed actually explained how NLP hypnosis can be used together for interrogation purposes, for crime detection purposes, and for criminal profiling purposes. So those will be good use of techniques and skills. Let me see. Wow, lean as usual. Let me see. This week I've got a confession from who I thought was lying, and what I analyzed was correct according to the liar, all based on context, instinct, fact-finding, evidence, body language. Stories doesn't match up. I'm glad he confessed. So here's the thing about lying. People who lie better have a good memory, because at some point you're going to lose track on what lie you told to who, when, in what situation, right? And then and that's when the truth will come out and the truth will show. Okay, Sharon's also said children usually lie as they have lots of fears in them. Okay, who instilled the fear? Why would children want to lie? Because they have fear, and who instilled the fear? Why would they want to lie? So the question is not about whether if someone is lying. That's easy to detect. Question is why. What are the reasons behind it? Okay, we've all told lies before, and we've told white lies. Okay, good evening. Hello, Asna. Thanks for joining. Let me see. Okay, Joyce, not getting into politics here. Why do people still vote for Trump when he is a confirmed liar? Is it because they allow the lie? There you go. All right. So several things we can do to determine. All right. And as I mentioned earlier on, I think politicians, public figures, they put themselves out there. And these days with multimedia, it's all being captured, and also it's easy to do fact checking and all of that. All right, let's see. Dr. Spencer Reed, my favorite character for the show. Yeah, my favorite character too. He's so smart, so clever. All right, so let me quickly take you through some points. We have because I solicited, I begged Kit to help me with downloading of some video clips and all for us to watch this evening and put our learning into applications, into good use. All right. So before we do all the viewing of all these short little clips that I prepared for you this evening, first thing I want to say is that there will be political figures, public figures. All right, so we're not placing judgment here this evening. We are just observing signs and cues. Right. Remember, there is always a reason behind why people do what they do. There's always reasons behind why people not do what they don't want to do. Okay. me? And the husband will look at the wife and say, yeah, of course I love you, right? So that the words were positive, of course I love you, right? But then the body language, shaking of the head, and the inflection and upward inflection. Okay, let me come back here and see what's happening. I'm sorry about that. So what happened when I show the slide? My volume is off or what? Give me an indication. What upward inflection? You got cut off, nothing happening. When you break into your shared screen, the sound stops. No sound, something wrong. Okay, I'm so sorry about that technical issue. Let me try that again. To do this without the slide this evening. All right, so sorry about that. Then you have to be taking notes. Okay, so as I was saying, verbal, right? Words and sentences. The ly, those ly words. Yeah. Okay, got it, Leonard. Okay, the ly words. Okay, the lie words. Example: truthfully, honestly, frankly. The excessive need to do that, right? And second thing you can do is a fact check. So you can check and see if whatever is being said is being carried out or not. All right. So you can check out on the facts and whether you're hearing nonsense, things that doesn't make sense, or unnecessary repetitions. Either that or a hard attempt to try to convince, meaning they are trying too hard. Yeah. Okay, so with additional words, like instead of answering a question as in, have you did no, right? There's a need to no, believe me, trust me, no, and there's a excessive needs and a lot of attempts to try to convince. Yeah. Also, listen out for soft expressions, words, phrases like "correct me if I'm wrong," maybe that is a good idea, or "don't get me wrong." Right. So all these unnecessary justifications. Of course, we also want to listen out and watch out for when the person is using all these words, these examples of words and sentences in that context. Are they using it as a pause filler so that they can think about what they want to say next? If that's the case, then I will not catch that out and single that out as an unusual signal. All right. So again, this is just one part of it. There are other aspects that we can pay attention to. Okay, I actually wanted to show you this other slide. Problem is every time the slide comes on, then then you don't hear me. Okay, there's a book by ex-defense secretary of America, Donald Rumsfeld, who's got a book titled "Known and Unknown." Right, that to me was like, very he was being very artfully vague when he was asked about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. This is what he says: there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know, but there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know. All right, I think you can go Google for that. So let me know if you can hear me and if it's going on fine if I don't show slides. Now I worry about the videos, whether we can play the videos. Okay, so those are the verbal. All right, tell me what are some words you have heard people use and say that are signs that they are not telling you the truth. There are signs that they are lying to you. No comments on that, although I like the way you're thinking. Is he trained in NLP? Okay, so basically what he was doing, that technique originate from the late psychologists, the creators of the Johari window. That means Joseph Taft and Harrington Ingram. When they in the development of the Johari window, so there are four planes, four angles, yeah, and it was originally developed so that people use it to understand their relationships with themselves and relationships with other people. All right, so between know and unknown, you can split that into 4 different columns, and that is effectively what he is doing. All right, NLP master practitioners would know this is the use of what we call the Cartesian coordinates. Yeah. Okay, let me look at some of the comments. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. Okay, if there's an emphasis, and that brings me to the next thing. Let me take out your. Okay, there you go. I'm telling you the truth. All right, there's a excessive emphasis, so you can listen out for vocal cues. And increase in volume. Is it meant to emphasize the point, or is it meant to disguise a lie, or to hide something, or to block out something by using the volume and increase volume to drown out the message? All right, listen out for the pitch as well, the rate of speech, and if any distracting sounds are being made along the way. Okay, we'll see. All right, so is it the cough? Is it the natural one because I'm talking continuously, and therefore gestures like this, licking of the lips and all, that's normal, or is it out of the norm, which is unusual? All right, we also listen out for vocal emphasis through the use of volume and pitch, and then inflection refers to the tone of the last word in the sentence. Trust me, this is really good, or trust me, this is really good, right? So from here we can observe all the different things. I'm going to try again. Okay, let me come back here. Can you hear me or not? Okay, because there are a lot more things I like to explain that I must illustrate and show it to you. Okay, so never mind if we don't have the slides and all. Still cannot hear, yeah? But now it's okay, right? Whenever the screen come back, it's okay. All right, then. The face. You can divide the face into half, right? Observing the upper portion only without looking at and separating it from the lower portion, all right? So if I were to block it out this way, then what you can depend on and look out for is obviously the top half of my face, right? You must have heard of this expression that the eyes are the windows to a person's soul, right? Okay, I don't get your message clearly, right? I know you're typing it out. Can you tell me when I show the slide, can you hear me or not? Show slide, can you hear me or not? Can't hear you when the slide is shared. Yeah, show play card. What's play card? Okay, now, so when I show the slide, can you hear me or not? If I go. Okay, so when I go back to the slide, can you hear me? When slide, there's no sound. Okay. All right, so let me quickly show you the slide first. And then I'll come back and then we'll talk about it. Yeah. So if it's just the top here, obviously we then depend on the eyes a lot. All right. But never just use the eyes alone. You have to always be combining all the signs and all the signals, right? For example, you can observe the eyebrows. Okay. When one eyebrow raised, what does it mean? When both raised, what does it mean? Right. One raised indicates disbelief, especially with the head tilt to the side. All right, when two raised, it could be shock, anger, or surprise. Yeah. Now, shock and surprise would be what I call micro expressions. It doesn't mean that the expression is small. What it means is it happens very fast. It happens like a split second. It doesn't stay. All right. So if I receive a present from someone and I want to show that I'm pleasantly surprised, make sure that your pleasantly surprised is a split second thing and not. Then you know that the surprise is, a little bit too prolonged, right? And speaking of prolonging, when the eyes when the person's blinking rate increases, it also means something, right? Blinking rate increase when the person is in a shock or is angry. Either that or is an attempt to block. That means avoiding eye contact. Either that or you ever heard people, ever seen people talking, and as they're talking, they close their eyes and then they continue talking and finish up their sentence. And that closure was a little bit too long and not just a blink. Okay, we also look at the blinking rates. So anytime any of these indicators are out of the ordinary, then we are always looking out for if the person is hiding something or it's telling us a lie. All right, the inner canthus, which refers to the little thing in here, all right, the visibility will increase. It will actually move out. Visibility will increase when the person is interested. The pupils will dilate when a person is interested. All right, so these are things you can observe about the eyes. Now the other thing is also look out for the eye ring lines, all right, that will coincide with the laughter lines, all right, indicating genuine joy, happiness, right? So if you only see the all right, then you see it's a very different thing, right? So that's why you have to combine both and learn how to break them up and observe, just by the one half and see whether it tallies or not. All right, the top half and the bottom half. Okay, let me flip on to the next one. Okay, so these days a lot of people wear contact lenses. Pick the ones that show your pupil more, because it will be perceived as if you're interested. All right, and that will create interest in other people. Okay, those of us who are trained in NLP, you also learn about the NLP eye patterns. All right, so this is my left because of the video and the imaging. All right, so just to let you know, this is my left. All right, and this is my right. I'm a right-hander, a normally organized person. All right. Now, do you realize your eyes move when you're thinking? All right. Even as I'm talking, my eyes will move as I'm thinking, right? So if you observe, if the eyes go up to the left, this is called visual remembered. So my eyes up to my left is visual remembered. That means I'm recalling visuals, images, things that I've seen before. If my eyes go up to my right, it's called visual construct. That means it hasn't happened, I haven't seen it, I'm constructing, I'm imagining it, I'm creating it. Okay. If my eyes go to the side left, that is auditory remembered. That means I'm recalling things that I've said or heard before. If the eyes go to the side right, then I'm constructing what to say. And again, if you're looking at me, my eyes go down to my left, then I'm doing self-talk. I'm having an internal dialogue, right? My eyes go down to the right, then I'm accessing feelings. Yeah. So quite clearly, if you were to ask me about something that has happened before, something that happened during the last live stream, for example, and as I'm replying you, or before I reply you, my eyes go up to the right instead of the left, and to tell you something about, to tell you things related to the last live stream, then you might wonder, why am I constructing and not remembering, since it has already happened before? Yeah. Okay, now beyond that, then of course we move downwards. All right, if only the nose will grow longer, how nice, right? When people tell a lie, that will be so easy to detect. All right, so what else about the eyes? All right, type your comments and share with us what are your own observations and your own learning. Okay, next up we move downwards. Okay, you observe the color and the muscle tension. I specifically like to watch out for muscle tension here. All right, as in whether the muscle suddenly tense up. All right, and now this is really very micro. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I'm sorry about the no sound when I'm showing slides. I really like to take you through the slides point by point. Okay, here's what Mindy says. I used to wonder why my eyes tend to go downwards towards the left. Turns out I'm very AD. Yeah, auditory digital, meaning you do a lot of internal processing and internal self-talk. All right, let me see. Lynn also gave us some pointers. Signs, sighing, and saying that we are complicated when we ask them a simple question. Yeah, overly complicating something simple is an unnecessary. Saying things that are unnecessary. Right, back to my verbal points. Also depends on the context and that person's natural character. There you go. This is deflecting a simple question and being unnecessarily stressed by it. The question is stressful because it is a direct question to exposing the lie. Oh, well, it can be possible. It can be possible, especially if you catch them off guard when they did not rehearse, when they haven't been coached, or when they haven't done their self-coaching. Yeah. Okay. So I particularly like to look out for muscle tension on the face. This is the laughter lines. All right. So a genuine smile, genuine joy and happiness. You see that the eyes will smile because of the eye ring lines. All right. Yeah, that will show, and then the laughter lines will show. Okay. So these are the cues. So you don't just look at one part. You come across people who they look like they are smiling, but they're not. Okay. So that will be the laughter lines. Okay, another thing to look out for, shoulder movement. Anytime there's a one shoulder shrug or both shoulders shrug, that's an indication the person does not even believe what he himself or herself is saying. Yeah, and also watch out for when the conversation gets tough. For instance, right? Like if you're asking more questions about the details when I'm lying to you, also you observe that the body will be shrinking a little. All right, trying to make ourselves small so that we become lesser of a target. All right, that again is an unconscious instinctive response and reaction. Okay, breathing rate will change. So when breathing rate change, that's a sign that is an internal shift. Okay, either that or nose block, rubbing the nose. Okay, covering the nose, covering, and in the process, covering the mouth as well. Doing things like that. Yeah, that's a sign that I'm not telling you the truth. Okay, watch out for lower lip lines as well. Now this obviously requires a lot of practice and very keen observation skills. The lower lip, the finer lines will disappear when the person is interested, because blood will come out and engorge the lips, which is a very thin layer of skin. Yeah, and also watch out for swallowing. An unusual one. Now, obviously, if I'm continuously talking, I will every once in a while take a deep breath, and every once in a while, I have to swallow, right? So you have to gauge if the swallowing is unusual, or am I swallowing my own words, meaning I'm not telling you the truth. Okay, next up, also watch out for the context, the display, the things behind and all of that, because this can also set the mood and set the atmosphere. Yeah. Okay, let's look at what are some of your comments now. What if they unconsciously keep putting something in front of them? Does that count like they are hiding something? Yes. Again, evaluate the context and the situation. Natural, not natural. Now I have to do this, right? So in the process I'm covering, does that mean I'm lying? Or simply because I have to be referring to something, all right, in order to share the pointers and make sure that I'm precise and that I don't miss out anything. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to show you some videos. Okay, so, and I'd like you to put into good use these pointers that I share with you this evening. So verbal words and sentences, look out for the LY words. Listen out for the LY words. Yeah. The truthfully, honestly, absolutely, right? And do the fact check and whether is it nonsense. Unnecessary repetitions and attempts to convince. Vocal, you listen up for volume, the pitch, the rate, emphasis, and inflection. And then, as I've just shared with you, the upper part of just the face alone up to the chest area, because it includes the breathing and the movement of the shoulders. Okay, I'm going to attempt to show you the video clips, and I hope that it works. Do type in the comment if it does not work. Be more specific for me, all right? Just type, video can't work, video no sound, or whatever it may be. All right, here. Okay, just based on that clip alone, did that work? Did the clip work for you? The question, the answer, no sound, so we cannot hear what he said. Totally no audio tonight. I don't know what happened. Okay, looks like we have to do this another time where I can show you the video. Based on that clip alone, did that work? Did the clip work for you? Okay, didn't work. All right, so video, no sound and all of that. No point, because then you can't hear the words. All right, but you can watch out for the body language. Would you like to just check out the body language now? Maybe actually especially useful now, because the sound is being cut off, so you're less distracted to hear the content. All right, so tonight let's not listen up for the verbal and the vocal. We can focus on the visual. How about that? All right, just go back to make sure that the sound. Looks like I have to prep that system. I promised you faster. Yes. Yeah, I'm running a 3-year-old MacBook Air to live stream, and I've been warned. Actually, they don't use it, and I've been able to use this for like the past 15 episodes of live streams and countless Zoom online classes. I consider it a bonus. So yes, time to upgrade the system. I need more RAMs, I need more cores, I need graphic cards. Okay, so I guess we'll save it for part 3 then. Yep, please. Okay, so I guess we'll save it for part 3 then. Okay, so for now, let me just repeat these pointers so that during the week, until we meet again for the next live stream, we can actually be practicing and watching out. Now, Mindy has a comment here. Seasoned politicians should be more aware of their non-verbals than most folks. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, or no, no, or maybe, maybe. Now, it depends on the individual. So remember the key pointers I mentioned, right? Individualized consideration. That's point number 2, which I covered last week. It depends on the person per se, all right? If you look at politicians, there are some politicians who think that they know it all. They refuse to use a teleprompter. They refuse to have coaches coach them on how to deliver the message and have writers to write their script for them. All right, either that or they're given a script. They're being coached. And then due to the tension of the interview, all right, due to the tension that you're live on TV per se, that may add some pressure. And then they end up doing what was not taught to for them to do, that is excessive. All right, and that's why we listen up for things like that. Okay, so the words that ends with ly, excessive use of that, fact check, nonsense, unnecessary repetitions, attempts to convince, and then the vocal, and then finally the visual part, which tonight we managed to just cover the top part of our body. I've actually got different clips to show you. Several from Biden, and then Prince Andrew, and Donald Trump, as well as the lady who is now accusing Biden of sexual harassment 27 years ago. Yep. Okay, so a quick recap. Remember, when we're dealing with people during the week, as you are practicing all these things that we talked about, remember to evaluate the context, give individualized considerations, straightforward the eyes, the shoulders, and any unusual movements and shift is an indication of something changing. All right, watch out for the eye patterns, and remember, not just depending on one sign to conclude that someone is lying or not telling the truth. Remember, it's not about whether they're lying or not, it's also about why they are lying. So do use multiple signs. All right, always give the benefit of doubt. Okay, and that lies only work when we allow it. Okay, number 7, we mentioned about context. Content is also important. 8, do fact check. 9, talk nonsense, incoherent, and 10, incongruent. 3 V's. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, how about doing some Q&A now based on some of the points that I've shared earlier on. Do they make sense to you? Did you get a bit of an aha moment when I talk about share with you certain points and certain things? Do you go like, didn't know? Oh, that's interesting. All right. So in the process next week, do put it into practice. Okay, here's a message from Lynn. What if they don't make eye contact with you when you're asking a stressful, simple question, and they suddenly keep busy when they were not? Okay, as you already said, suddenly keep busy, and you're asking a simple question, but you can see that they are being stressed by the simple question. Probably means they have something that they don't want to share. They have something they don't want to say. All right. Another thing about the lips is when sometimes people will purse their lips. All right. And that's trying to lock their lips together, meaning, I don't want to let this thing come out. I don't want to say this. Yeah. Okay. How about, very close. Malaysia XPM. Whole world know he lied, but some still believe. Okay. Remember my pointer number 6. Lies only work when we allow it. So, I mean, there's a liar, there's someone who's being lied to, right? So, takes 2 hands to clap, yeah? All right, now again, even though we are using and discussing about public figures and politicians, it's mostly because they are well known and we have access to them on social media and on all media, so it's easy to observe them and to use them as an example, right? We are not discussing politics, neither are we supporting any particular politicians or any ideals. Yeah, this is simply about observing people and uncovering more, learning more about other people, and in the process increase our observational skills. Okay, let's see. Mindy have a question. Can we also cover how some people are just determined to believe lies? We can talk about that. But I remember earlier on, you actually asked me a question over, I think it was over Facebook. You were talking about scams, the online scams, and people, nowadays, a lot of people are being scammed. Now, because of your question, and I did say that if we have time, we'll discuss a little bit. I guess now is a good time too, since we cannot watch the videos. All right, we have another few more minutes to go. Okay, a few things. Scammers, they will prey on psychological, emotional needs. All right, the natural human needs for attention, for acknowledgement, for assurance, for affection. All right, and then physiological needs such as sex, physical things, money. All right, they also prey on greed. They also utilize urgency so that they don't give you time to think. They will rush you. Okay, so these are signs that we should look out for. All right, anytime something is too good to be true. Yeah, now we're not going to be putting on our analytical hat all the time and our skeptical hat. There's a difference between being observant, all right, so that you protect yourself and preserve yourself, all right, and yeah, so just watch out for all these signs. Okay, what scammers will tend to do is they tend to find a gap, and then they will fulfill the gap using communication and influencing skills. All right, their arsenal. They will build rapport, credibility, build trust. They'll come in disguise as having mutual friends with you, or your friend's friend's friend, or somebody related, just to build credibility. Yeah. All right. So do your research. They will also do your research on your background. So take time, because one of the things I noticed they like to do is they like to rush you. In fact, this just happened last night. I got a Facebook message. And what happened was, okay, let me access it now and read it real time for you. Okay, so this guy messaged me something. Okay, let me get the message. Okay, first message, hey, can give me your phone number. So straight away from the private messaging Facebook, right, on my device, I can see where this person is working at, studied where, and the person's name. So I recognize the company because I do a lot of training for this person's company. So I click and look at the profile. I remember the person's face, right? So the person asked me, can give your phone number? So I reply, hi, his name, and then this is my mobile. And then he sent me a picture and tell me there's a free campaign for Shopee. I add you, okay? So I reply, because I thought that's one of my students, right? So I reply, I'm already shopping in Shopee. In fact, quite a lot recently with the purchase of all these equipment, slides and everything, right? And then his message to me, the deputy manager of the Shopee store is my sincere friend. You will earn cash money. And then emoticons. All right. And then I said, well, okay. And then I received an SMS with the OTP number. And then he tell me, send me SMS code. This is the campaign register code. So I just copy the message and share with him the OTP. And he go like, wait, I will check the code for you. I will send you new SMS. You wait, okay? And that was the time I was having dinner. So I said, I'm having dinner with my family now. And he said, okay, send me the last SMS. So there's another SMS that comes to me with the OTP code. And this one comes from my credit card, the card that I use when I shop in Shopee. Okay, and he now tell me that I have won 1,000 Singapore dollars. All right, but will need the bank's this new OTP code to transfer the money to me, and ask me whether the SMS has arrived. I say, SMS is from what? And he say, no, it's just an OTP, the latest SMS message you get, the OTP, give me the number, the 6-digit number. And I said, no, it's from my credit card. And he said, no, the money will be transferred to your card there, no problem. And that's when I go like, this is too good to be true, right? So there were pictures, to show that there's a campaign and so on and so forth, right? So what they would do, in this case, praying for greed, urgency, all right. So that I don't have time to think. Well, fortunately, I take my time, all right. So didn't catch me here on the greed. Phew. Yeah, actually, Lynn, the message came from someone who's working in the same company as you. Yeah, hence I thought it was my student and trustworthy. All right, but I'm getting all this message. I suspect his account is hacked because I don't believe any of my students will actually do something like that and to come and prey on me and cheat me out of money. All right, and then what happened was later in the night, I went to Shopee because I need to buy the the Apple pencil tip, because every time you drop it, the tip is damaged. So I needed to buy that, and realized when I go into Shopee that there was a transaction that was cancelled because the payment wasn't completed. That person apparently used my mobile phone account with the OTP, go into Shopee, purchase almost $4,000 worth of things, waiting for me to give the second OTP from my credit card, which I didn't. Because if I had given, then the charge of almost $4,000 would have gone through. Yeah. So scammers will prey on psychological, emotional needs, physical needs, greed, and they create urgency. They will find a gap, they will fill it, and they will fulfill your convincer. They will build rapport with you, they will build credibility, they will build trust. All right. So, and they will give you space and opportunity for verifications, Like in this case, there are two pictures being sent to me. The first one was the Shopee's campaign. The second one that tells me I have won $1,000 is Lazada. So, okay, you're telling me about, the campaign is with Shopee and so forth, and yet the prize money come from Lazada. So something is not right. There is incongruence. All right, or there are incongruence. So the messages may look real. They typically come with malicious link, and that payments are usually not secured, and they have a tendency to rush you, to create urgency. All right. Typically, those will be through very unsecured payment methods such as wiring, bank transfer, funds transfer, money orders, cryptocurrencies, etc. All right. So here are 5 things I will suggest that you look out for. People whom you don't know personally. Right? People whom you have not met. That's the second one. Friend. People whom you have not met. The third thing to look out for whenever there's money involved, whether they are giving you or they are asking from you. Anytime there's money involved, coupled with you don't know them and you have not met them, all right, and that they're asking for information. That's the fourth thing, asking for information that only you will know, such as your OTP, what is your password, your card or bank account numbers, all right, and that they tend to hurry you so that they want you to decide quickly, and you have no time to think and you have no time to do verification. Yeah, so okay, turns out we have time to answer your question, Mindy. Right, I was once almost scammed. A person called claiming to be a bank representative, said I owed 8,000 credit card debt. Naturally, I panicked. Good thing I called my husband. Good thing you got smart husband there, huh? So at home, you and your husband, who's the better observer and who's the better liar? I'm thinking in terms of white lies, okay? All right, Leonard, let me see. Even if you know the person, never give out your received OTP. Yeah, the OTP is the final verification, so to speak. All right, is your final warning, if you like. All right, so never give that out. Almost fell for that one. If I had, then I won't be doing liar part 2 with you. I need to practice what I'm preaching. And what's a good thing? I put into practice what I have learned over the years using my analytical observational skills, in looking out for the message and all of that. So when there's incongruence, all right. So remember, all these skills is to enable us to relate, to connect with people better, to understand people better, to deal with people better. All right. So that, and in the process, we obviously don't want to be cheated, don't want to be lied to, but then again, always attempt to find out the reasons behind the lie rather than just simply taking it as a black and white thing. You can mix black and white and get gray. Find out the reasons behind it. Yeah. Sometimes for the smallest of reasons, people come up with the most ridiculous lies, right? Okay, so the idea behind this, learning all of this, is for us to enhance our observational skills so that we can connect and relate and deal with people better. Okay, I guess we have to do this for the next week then. I'll be sure to test run it, which I did actually this evening. I always test run it before, but I would never be able to know on the receiving side how it turned out. So I'm sorry the sound did not happen when we have slides this evening, and that we can't play the videos, but we can always say Facebook and LinkedIn. Okay, so despite the obstacle and the little problem that we run into this evening, I hope everyone have learned something, gained something, had a little inspirational moment this evening. So once again, thank you for joining me this evening. Good night, everyone. I will see you next week and make this thing work. Good night. Bye.